Welcome to the lecture series, and today we will be focusing on a very important and a pertinent topic, that is the CSS expected 2021 essay topic. If you look over here, it starts at analyze the effects of pandemics such as coronavirus and the effectiveness of methods of curbing it. So, because this is a global issue and this is a very hot topic for this exam, so let's start. So, introduction should be of this length at least. It's more than 2700 words essay, so this should be the at least the length. Okay, so starting with pandemics has always caused havoc and distress across the nations. This coronavirus is not an exception and it has greatly disrupted the supply chain of the entire globe. Now, why I've mentioned supply chain over here? Because I wanted to emphasize the fact that I will be talking about mostly the economical part. That is why I've mentioned this. The initial outbreak of the coronavirus was in this, after much controversy, each and everything, more than 180 countries. Then some of the history of the this. Most of the candidates what they do, they just write introductory paragraph separately, then they add other details. But I think so that this is the part where most of the students also lag behind as well. When you're writing the introduction, at least give them some details, right? They try to give the other details by looking at different samples. But like in my last more than 10 years of teaching experience and going through various types of essays, I think so this is the most pertinent part, that the introduction should be focused on the details that you want to provide. So I'm just giving them hints as well. It's supply chain and erupted from Wuhan, history. However, according to the reported claims, as China recovered from the decrease in the number of patients, the number of patients increased exponentially across the globe. Okay, so I didn't use the globe word over here because I used it before earlier. So I use world over here. Okay, even the countries such as US showed a whooping increase within nearly more than hundreds of thousands of patients in a single day. There are far greater implications of this pandemic, and without a cure or vaccine, it is rapidly galloping across the globe without any discrimination. So now, finally, the vaccination processes has started, right? So without a cure or vaccine, it is rapidly galloping across the globe without any discrimination, right? So the now the vaccination process is also started, so you can add on like that vaccination part as well if you want to add on. Okay, within a quarter of its widespread, the pandemic shrank the global economy. Investors withdrew $83 billion on the emerging markets. It's again based on economy. That's why I have started from there. Unemployment rates have increased. I have in France, it was a whooping 4 million addition to the number of unemployed people. The business slowed down, ventilators, Moody's, Goldman Sachs, each and everything within a week. And similarly, now I'm talking about what happened. Within a week, State Bank decreased policy rates to this. Cheap loans are provided. The interest rate later decreased to 8%. Now it's 7% without a concrete lockdown program. This is the thing. In this situation, IMF's announcement of relief package was this $1 trillion. This is the amount this. In the midst of crisis, now I am talking about the oil war. Okay, so my main focus is that there are two or three approaches if you want to attempt. Now, first, you can look at the pastel analysis. Okay, for example, if you want to attempt this essay, you would have looked at the pastel analysis. What is this like? If you would have compared with the political situation, then you have gone with the economic, then you would have gone with the social impacts it has, then you have gone with the technological impacts like on the big technological companies, then ecological, and then legal perspective. So you would have covered these perspective at least, and you would have gotten a very solid answer to this. Okay, like even in the social debate, there could be a lot of debate about. In the social part, there could be a lot of debate about how vaccination is given preferential treatments. In the vaccination process, what is happening basically, right? Process preferential treatment. given to allies, right? So that they would be getting the access of free vaccination earlier on, right? This can go either way. In the midst of this crisis, the oil war, then US became the top crude oil producer, and then this is the point which I wanted to highlight. This is the thing, OPEC, non-OPEC, then these are the details. Again, why I am showing you these details because now it's time that you should be prepared and how the sentences are organized, you should look at that. Okay, after 2014, US became the top crude producer of the world, crude oil producer of the world by its large shale production, and the oil fell from 116 to $40. Thus, an agreement was made by the OPEC and non-OPEC members in order to reduce oil supply, and Saudi Arabia taking the major burden of reducing its supply capacity. The new alliance was called OPEC Plus. It was decided that supply from OPEC members will be reduced in terms of barrels per day in order to curtail the drop in prices. The same was communicated to Russia, but Russia went against its statement and didn't reduce its oil production. This led to a decrease in price and retaliation. Saudi Arabia also increased its supply. To show its supremacy, Russia was hoping that this price war will have a major hit on US oil reserves and industries, and US put sanctions on US top oil producing company Rosneft. Now, these are very pertinent details, and you can put them in other topics as well if you want to use them for analysis, for statistics. They presume that a decrease in price per barrel less than 40 will have a great impact on the US. Both the countries are on top producers of oil. Just how the multiplier effect with lack of demand of oil from China led to a global war is one of the indirect effects. Now, this is the important point which I am trying to highlight. Indirect effects of the pandemic. The global catastrophe is brought to investors and oil producers is more pronounced in one of the top oil producing companies. Rates, but also contributing to large number of continues. The social impact is again, now I am talking about the social impact. This is the thing which I am talking about. In China, due to cyber isolation, many in this are probably filing for divorce. The Europol, which is the agency of Europe of allies with all companies, that there is a significantly large number of digital forgeries. Frauds in the month, and it is expected to increase after a crackdown. The Europol reported there were fake evidence of frauds, and they confiscated fake and unauthentic mask providers. After providing relief to registration on the SRS by entering, it also led to the benefit. These glitches in the systems, hoarders on family receiving from NGOs, some families even deprived, and 95 masks, and the country allowed the distribution of cloth masks on local. However, the masks made out of used clothes and unhygienic, which is causing more problems than benefit. Okay, so this is the part. Now coming to the mortality rates from the present pandemic over prominent from the old and the young. Now I'm talking about the impact it has on the people. The financial experts say that now Thai blood are mine, but right now the inquiries of Thai blood are my business. Initial debate, however, how we should focus on the in the best case, important open thought can be given to social political authenticity. Right? Now extreme choices by the government when the case for few restrictions were opened. Now we are talking about the impact. Huge stocks of this, moreover, it has opening up of online setup businesses. Just with increasing and level-headedness, one can generally think of consistency with the necessities of the social grade. Now we are talking that whether we should bifurcate between the old or the young or what not. So we are talking about the SOPs, we are talking about the thing. Now this is a very important topic. This is, if you have gone deeper, fundamental uncertainty. Right? Put a blind eye to the consequence. Such pandemic was anticipated by the timing. This is the most important thing. For any pandemic, you cannot predict the timing, the magnitude, and the scale. And one should look over here. And then the accusations which followed. Then we are talking about the environmental factor or the ecological effect, that the ozone layer is not depleting. And finally, the end. And if you look at the conclusion, this is a very good part that I've highlighted. This hence, there is no denial in the catastrophic effects, but timely preventive measures. This is another important factor. That is the key crux. Can have the impacts of flattening the curve on its impact. Now, this sentence whole, I think so. If anyone has mentioned this will have a really, really effective way of communicating your conclusion. Moreover, the realization of the linkage of different spheres of life with the economic phenomenon is also essential when one is assessing its global impact. This leads to understanding what individual and collective rationality is in terms of lockdown. This is a very important factor. And assessing its impact on masses and acceptance of the fact that conventional economic concepts of self-interest are not the way forward. Knowledge of how fundamental uncertainty can be addressed in such extraordinary circumstances will be essential in crafting any viable public policy. I hope so that you guys have gone through this, they have read this, and you would be able to score higher in the exams. It has every detail that you have ever wanted, right? It is not a generalized essay that you must have seen. As you have read, if you have gone through, it is not a generalized essay. It is an essay, I would say, that deserves higher marks. It is particularly confined to what the question is asking. The first thing is analyze the effects of pandemic such as this. This is the first part. And the next part is and the effectiveness of the methods of curbing it. That's why I use the concept of what fundamental uncertainty. That's why I talked about the lockdown, the timings of the lockdown, what preventive measures, what, when, and how to use them. That is the key crux. Often, what happens, you would have find out essays about the impacts on the economy, about what we should do on the economy. But this is an essay which is covering all the aspects, and that is what the examiners are looking for. I hope you have understood this. Best of luck for your exams, and write your comments so that we are aware that which type of essays you are finding difficulty in and other parts. Classes will be held sooner. We are conducting classes online and in physical as well. So stay tuned. If you want to join the classes, we would be glad if we can help the students. This is the end of the session.